Dear viewers across the world, most welcome to my channel NAGA World Conflict Zone. Philistine elections, that means Palestine's elections, now is going to be jeopardized. Abbas' decision to delay elections sparked public outcry. A Palestinian leadership genuinely committed to the welfare of their people, unlike Palestine Authority President Mahmoud Abbas, could take the proposal in Vision for Peace as a starting point for negotiation. Palestinian civil society organizations and several factions and figures warned over the weekend that Palestine Authority President Mahmoud Abbas' decision to postpone the general elections would deepen divisions among the Palestinians and lead to the chaos and military dictatorships. Abbas' political opponent condemned the decision as a big catastrophe and called on the Palestine Authority President to proceed with the elections, ignoring the public outcry. Abbas on Friday issued a decree in which he postponed the elections. In his decrees, Abbas claimed that Israel has prevented preparations for the elections and holding them in occupied Jerusalem. The decrees came hours after the announcement, the postponement of the elections after a meeting in Ramallah of leaders of various Palestinian factions. Abbas said the international effort to exert pressures on Israel to allow the elections to take place in Jerusalem and that had failed. He said that the Palestinians were ready to hold elections as soon as Israel agrees to their request to hold the vote in Jerusalem. The civil society organizations called for creating an atmosphere for dialogue, responding the public freedom and forming a Palestinian national unity government. In a statement, the organizations said the decision to delay the elections carried great risks. Had they taken place, the elections could have constituted an important step toward the restoration of national unity, which has deteriorated significantly due to the power struggle between Abbas' Fatah faction and Hamas. The statement read, the decision to postpone the elections could perpetuate the split between the West Bank and Gaza Strip. The organizations called the Palestine Authority government to start preparations for holding election within 6 months. The Palestine Independent Commissions for Human Rights expressed deep regret over the postponement of elections, warning that the move would jeopardize the stability of the Palestinian political systems, civic peace, national unity, and public freedom also. The ICHR called on the international community. The ICHR called on the international community to put pressure on Israel to allow the election to take place in Jerusalem anyway. It also called on Abbas to set new dates for the parliamentary and presidential elections which were scheduled for May 22 and July 31st respectively. Hamas denounced Abbas' decision, dubbing it a coup against agreement reached with Fatah and other factions in the past few months. Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh described Abbas' decision as unfortunate, saying it plunged the Palestine arena into a state of semi-vacuum. Postponing the elections means cancelling them and confiscating the political right of the Palestinian. Hania said, there is no disagreement over the necessity of holding elections in Jerusalem. The disagreement is over making a Palestinian decision dependent on the decision of the Israeli occupation. A number of Hamas officials accused Abbas of using Jerusalem issue as an excuse to delay the election and prevent Palestinians from practicing their constitutional right. They said the Abbas made the decision because of the mounting tension in Fatah, especially after veteran officials of the faction, including Nasser al-Qidwa and Marwa Baghouti, decided to run on a separate slate. The PLO's Popular Front for Liberation of the Palestine said the Abbas decision cast doubt on the seriousness of the Palestinian leadership about ending the split between the West Bank and Gaza Strip and restoring national unity anyway. The PFLP also warned that the decision would deepen the crisis in the Palestinian arena. Professor Sari Nusaybiha, a prominent Palestine academic and former PLO representative in Jerusalem, called on Abbas to resign. I think that Abbas must submit his resignation, said Nasibehi, who was running as a candidate on al-Mustaqbal list, which is affiliated with exiled Fatah operative Mahmoud Dahlan. Halting the electoral process is a dangerous decision that opens the door wide for civil disobedience against the Palestinian Authority. Hannan Ashwari, who recently resigned from the PLO Executive Committee, commented on Twitter, the excitement, enthusiasm and energy with which the Palestinian people in the occupied Palestinian territory welcomed the prospect of the legislative, presidential and PLO Palestinian National Council elections were instantly transformed into profound disappointment and anger. Jerusalem is the essence of defiance, not a pretext for subverting democracy. Defending Abbas' move, Palestinian Authority Presidential spokesperson Nabil Abu Rodaynahi said decision to postpone the election aimed at preserving top national interest, on the top of which the issues of occupied Jerusalem. Israel is finding a clue. In an interview with the Palestine Authority's Voice of Palestine radio station, he added that holding the election without Jerusalem means an implementation of former US President Donald Trump's deal of the century, according to Abu Rumandiai. The Palestine Authority leadership tried by all means to hold the election in Jerusalem, but received a negative answer from Israel. He dismissed the widespread criticism by many Palestinians as being part of a campaign of disinformation carried out by suspicious parties to undermine the Palestinian national decision. So in this way, if election is postponed, then the solution will not come, and the faction between Fatah and Hamas will be continued. So world wants to resolve the problem in West Bank and East Jerusalem.